Why the crash clock now is officially ticking. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, buckle up, strap in. I got a hard-hitting, pull no punches, no sugarcoating, rainbows, no sunshine. I'm just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. We got a good one to unpackage today. Buckle up, strap in, hold on to your hats and your glasses as we blow the lid off the U.S. economy and the U.S. housing market. Why, you ask? Well, of course I'm going to tell you they're tied together. Lose one, you'll lose the other. A vacuum, it'll take the other along for the ride. They're both under attack, but right now, as we speak, this is really interesting. Congratulations. If you're new, please subscribe. Subscribe right away. Never been a more important time in history. Get centered and surrounded with like-minded people. Iron will sharpen iron. These are interesting times. You see, in the '08 crisis, it was really the U.S. housing market. I always talk about how the U.S. housing market is, in fact, the biggest asset class in the world. We had more investor involvement in this bubble than any other bubble. We broke all the wrong records. In the '08 crisis, it was really due to what we are told anyway. Whether it's true or not is really irrelevant, in my opinion. The realities are the bubble popped in the '08 crisis. I mean, there was some Kool-Aid drinking in that one. Real estate was too big to fail. They said it was subprime mortgages, basically writing loans to maybe more at-risk borrowers that contributed to that. And then we had a tsunami of defaults. Well, we're kind of going into the similar waters right now. You know, history, people seem to want to say history always repeats itself. Well, it rhymes for sure. The catalyst will continue to be different. Each time was some different catalyst that caused the recession. And we've always had recessionary cycles. We're aware of that. So we just went through the biggest boom cycle ever recorded in world history: artificial growth, market manipulation, zero organic growth. And that's what happened by making realtors essential workers to prop up the housing market as one of the stimulus measures that we threw at this whole crisis scenario. Unfortunately, we kicked the can too far down the road. When they saw the bubble starting to manifest, because we know each time the housing market exhibits bubble behavior, they've crashed and then caused a massive recession. So what we did, because probably of lockdowns, crisis, or maybe just an orchestrated event, maybe there's some master plan. Our job is to kind of get in the middle of this thing, not too far over here, kind of just try to take a level-headed take of this one. Because, you know, we want to get out of the problem and in the solution, but in order to know how we got here, we got to see what happened. So when they implemented the housing market stimulus, which was agents are now essential, we're going to drop rates to stimulate some buying activity. Well, unfortunately, I mean, you would think they would know we are in a limited inventory environment. Do you think this is smart? Well, just do it anyway because, you know, we're in the stimulus era. Okay. No, and then agents normalizing it. It's a great time to buy. Interest rates are low. Oh, yes. You know, if you want to buy this house, we're going to probably have to pay significantly over asking. We've got multiple offers. Oh, we expect like this was the craziest one for me. Before you get a sign in the yard, a yard sign, you got multiple offers. And the agent's like,
we're showing one today, only remotely. You can't actually come see the property in person. And by 5 o'clock this evening, your offers have to.
Are you kidding me? Typically what you do is you hold an open house or two, do some private showings, as many as you can, and then you say, hey, next week at X amount of time, that's when we'll be reviewing offers. I mean, that's almost what's normal now. Now, in the past, before this whole crisis craziness, I would hold open houses every weekend for months. For months sometimes is how long you had to stick it out with a property. So this was so short. Agents spoiled. And now they're getting a big wake-up call, a big dose of reality. So the crash clock is currently ticking. I think we should all that are in the industry and haven't drank the Kool-Aid, and thank you to my industry people. I get a lot now coming out of the woodwork. Like, you know, I've been watching you secretly for a while, man. You're right. Insanity, this stuff. So the crash clock isn't officially ticking, but in the '08 crisis, we were told it was subprime mortgages that caused it, and in all intents and purposes, it did. It basically amounted to homes, you know, basically getting too bubbly and then couldn't sustain themselves. But here's the challenge I have with this. And so that took the economy along for the ride. So in the last crisis, the housing market was what crashed the economy, and it took us along for a ride. Like I open every show. Take your pick, throw a dart at a map, whether you lose the economy or the U.S. housing market. Those are the two catalysts. And the last one was the housing market that crashed the economy. This one appears to be the economy is going to crash the housing market. Why, you ask? Well, of course I'm going to tell you. Because the housing market's still propped up. it's still relatively healthy in many areas. Many areas are in a free fall and massive trouble, but some areas are more resilient. That's always the case. Real estate's local. We all know that real estate's local. They're all going to behave differently. So some markets are more resilient. But how we know that this time is different, in fact, but worse, is this time, instead of the housing market crashing the economy like in the '08, this time the economy is going to crash the housing market. How you ask? Well, of course I'm going to tell you. Because we see it now. We see runaway inflation in a risen interest rate environment. We see bank failures. Those are economic components outside of the U.S. housing market. So if we're a level-headed realist, expect the unexpected is really our job here. Don't ignore the elephant in the room. Don't worry about if you're hearing from salespeople in the real estate industry that go through weekly trainings on how to FOMO you into buying in this environment. And I'm going to say it at the end because I always like what we run with here. If you want to go buy, if you're right now currently like, I want to buy, good. I'm gonna help us here in a minute to have our heads on straight on what that should look like for you. But in this time, I want to say the clock is officially ticking for a crash, and here is why. The economy now is being put through the biggest stress test ever witnessed in world history. Those are the facts. We did a huge money dump during stimulus. The economy overheated, and now it's about to blow. The sign of a blowing economic engine, one of the cylinders that's going out right now, is the banking industry. The banking industry is under tremendous fire as depositors are now pulling their money out and putting them in some safe haven, any port they can park it outside of the financial institutions, either to try to get some yield on it or just to protect it from potentially having to go through the mess, the messy scenario of a bank shutdown and temporarily cut off from your funds. And I think even with that said, why we continue to bail out these banks is to contain contagion. That was all. Otherwise, we would have let these banks fail. We can't do that. We have to contain contagion. Otherwise, we're going to have bank runs. That's what they're fearing right now is bank runs. Because if we collapse the banking system, which it looks like we're trying to do, that's when we end up in the Great Depression all over, but some new scary hybrid of it, in my opinion. This would be much more tolerable, in my opinion, if we went back to the 30s before we had digital, supercomputers in everybody's hands. This thing is going to spread much quicker. We had to rely on newspapers to spread the news. Snail mail, basically, in the last Great Depression. This one's going to be like a inferno. I was going to say a forest fire, an inferno. It's just going to sweep. So, we see what's going on out there. So when we talk about is the crash clock ticking, I think most of us here, at least at this channel, would admit it. Now, like I said, anybody in the financial markets that has to go play in this environment, they have to out of self-preservation. We know that. That's why we always kind of, I don't know about it, like I want to believe. Lamestream media is not giving us the truth. They're being direct. Even this guy, even anybody on mass media in the form of social media, we are regulated. I have to be careful what I say here. I have to play within certain guidelines. So that's why I think it's so important. Free speech is something supposedly we had. Now it's slowly being squashed and contributing to the clicking crash clock as well. That's just a sign of government overreach and control, which I probably shouldn't just said. This might have a reduced reach now because of those simple words that were said. That's how crazy it is to be a YouTuber navigating these waters and trying to communicate a message of hope in hard times. Understanding booms and busts, we've always had them. It's never been a question of if we would have another recession. It's always been when, what the catalyst would be. In this case, it was a crisis, a health crisis. That was the catalyst. It ushered this in. Now it's like clean up on aisle 3 because we see the economic uncertainty. There's a lot of it out there, right? There's a lot of it. First step of getting past a problem, admit there's a problem. If you can at least admit that, you're one step closer to the answer to your problem. Accept it. Accept the situation and get to work however you can. Whether it's helping your friends by communicating knowledge, power. or diversifying your portfolio into some assets instead of digits on a screen. Whatever you need to do, you get to decide. I get to decide what's best for us. There's always going to be risk. There's nothing in life, in my opinion, that's risk-free. There's always risk. It's minimizing it now. Understanding the waters we're currently swimming in. In final thoughts, I come to you as a friend, as a content creator. Somebody wants to see you not only win in real estate, win in life. Understanding now. The economy is what's under a threat. Under threat. The housing market's still propped up by most areas are still on euphoric, pumped up pricing, but the air is clearly coming out of the balloon. The challenge with this one is economic components are now threatening the housing market. This one's going to be a different playbook, a different movie than '08, where '08 it was the housing market that took down the economy. The economy appears to be the one that wants to take down the housing market because of that low interest rate environment and the bubble that it experienced, the fastest run-ups ever seen to never seen before highs, overnight appreciation, all artificial, of course. It's going to be propped up a little longer than some of the other ones that were more exposed. Unfortunately, the areas that were exposed in this one was everything, the everything bubble. So we're going to see each bubble continue to pop. Right now it's banking, the economy, and take your pick: layoffs, jobs, U.S. debt, U.S. savings, everything, U.S. inflation. I mean, everything. It's absurd to me to see anybody in the industry minimize that and hang their hat on supply and demand only. Supply is supply until it's not. I'm going to be here to blow the lid off this thing every step of the way, because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. If you appreciate the content, I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Social media links in the description of this video if you'd like to contact me there, along with links to channels I've appeared on I think you might enjoy. If you need help buying or selling real estate here in America, I have the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you. It'd be our honor and our privilege to do so. Email in the description for you as well. Also, if you're watching from your television set today and you enjoyed this video, I know you're going to love the next video. And there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count today. I'll see you on the next video.